But on Hancock's way to Luffy's execution, we're also gonna see the red-haired pirates and Shanks, as he's just as angry. I mean, Shanks sees Luffy as Roger's true successor, so he's obviously gonna do whatever it takes to stop the execution, using his insane haki and power to free him. Like, don't forget that he already saved Luffy once, and lost an arm in the process, so now he will put his life on the line to save him. But talking about Shanks, which is basically Luffy's father figure, we gotta talk about Luffy's actual dad, Monkey D. Dragon. Because yeah, he would actually try to save him. But not for the reason you think. Sure, Dragon swooped in and saved him at Logtown, but that was child's play for him. But now that he's captured by the world government, Dragon would use his son's execution to launch a full-scale attack and finally bring them down with the Revolutionary Army. So yeah, Dragon isn't winning the Father of the Year award. But talking about Luffy's dad, we gotta talk about Luffy's brother, Sabo, who would literally break. Yeah, he's gonna have a panic attack, as he's instantly gonna remember how Ace also basically got executed, and he'd think to himself that he just can't lose another brother. So he's literally gonna set sail on his own without telling anyone, and he'd easily give his own life to save his brother, no matter what, which is exactly what he promised Ace, to always look after Luffy. Moving on, we've got Law, and he'd get pissed at Luffy for doing something so stupid as getting caught. Like we've seen over and over how Law always yells at Luffy for being a total idiot. But yeah, he'd remember the time Luffy saved his life from Doflamingo, so he'd think he owe it to Luffy to help him. Plus, they are really close friends, even though Law would never admit it. So even though he'd think it's a pain in his ass, he'd take the crew and do anything to save his friend. But someone who honestly wouldn't care about Luffy's execution is Eustace Kid. Yeah, he would seriously even be excited that Luffy was about to die. Why though? Because both Luffy and Kid have the same goal, to find the One Piece and become the king of the pirates. So if Luffy were executed, that's one less rival standing in his way to reach his dream. So while everyone else sails to save Luffy, Kid's heading full speed towards the One Piece instead. But talking about people sailing to save Luffy, one of those guys is absolutely Bartolomeo. You'd see his ship from miles away because of the huge fountain coming off of it. Yeah, that's just Bardo crying his eyes out. But he's not only gonna be crying, he's also gonna be raging. I mean, Barto absolutely loves Luffy and worships him like a god. Like remember back in Dressrosa when some random guy started talking bad about Luffy? Yeah, Barto did not take that well. He literally just grabbed the guy's tongue. But if you thought that was bad, in the manga, he straight up stabbed it. So yeah, now you know just how far Barto's willing to go for his god. But alright, now we gotta go to Wano, because here, Momonosuke, Kinemon, Yamato, and the Scabbards would panic. Momo would obviously be crying at first, but then he'd pull himself together, gather everyone, and give a big speech about saving Luffy. And of course, everyone would agree, because they all owe everything to him. Like Luffy literally freed Wano from Kaido and Orochi's cruel rule. So to them, he's a true hero. So Wano is ready to go to war for Luffy, and especially Yamato, because she already lost Ace, and she can't lose Luffy too. Jumping from Wano to Fuchsia Village, and this place would be a fountain of tears. Makina would be crying her heart out cause she absolutely loves Luffy and just wants him to be safe and happy. But Dan? Oh, she'd be completely unconsolable. She'd be screaming, "Don't you dare take another son from me." And even though she's a mountain bandit living in the mountains, she and the bandits would straight up steal a boat and sail out to save Luffy themselves. Because no way she'd let him die, no matter what. Oh, and she's absolutely gonna punch Garp in the face for letting this happen in the first place. Leaving Fuchsia Village and the East Blue behind, we're heading straight to the New World and Zoe. Because Carrot, the new leader of the Mokomo Dukedom, is furious. She can't believe Luffy's been captured, so she turns to the Minks and asks if they're ready to go save him. And of course, they all yell, "Yeah!" But before Carrot can even start planning their rescue, Zunesha's already on the move, heading straight to Luffy, because he's not gonna let Joy Boy die a second time. And someone else who would never let Luffy die is Vivi. She'd be shocked seeing his execution, sure, but she wouldn't be sitting there crying. Nope. She'd instantly grab Karoo and set sail, because she'd think it's her turn to save him, just like he saved her back in Alabasta, as Luffy gave her the strength to keep fighting, defeated Crocodile, and saved her entire kingdom. So she'd drop everything and head straight to save him, even if it meant risking her life and throwing away her duties as a princess. Plus, she's basically a Straw Hat herself, so she will never let her captain be executed, as she's absolutely gonna look at her X tattoo and rally to his side. Which is exactly what the Straw Hats' Grand Fleet would do. Yeah, I know I already talked about Bardo, but the rest of the Straw Hats' Grand Fleet is already on their way to save him. Like Cavendish, he would be furious. But he'd also see this as his chance to once again become the famous Cavendish, so he'll act like he's the only Prince Charming who can save Luffy. Although, yeah, Hakuba would absolutely be the one who does all the work. Now, Hadradine and the Giants are charging in as well, because Giants do not play around when it comes to loyalty. And Leo and the Tontatas, they would be there in a heartbeat too.